Would you rather have wireless on the most reliable network nationwide or unlimited with 5G for $30 a month per line? You don't have to choose with Xfinity Mobile. Wireless so good it keeps one-upping itself. Most reliable based on Roots Metric US report. Results vary, not an endorsement. $30 per month per line when you get 4 lines.
We hear a lot about influencers these days. And while some say influence stems from likes and followers, at BNY Mellon, we believe that it also comes from a more strategic approach to wealth management. So before we talk about your wealth, we talk about you, your goals, and the causes closest to your heart. Then we build an active wealth strategy that works in support of it all, so you can grow your influence and make a lasting impact. At BNY Mellon Wealth Management, we're here to help you do well better.
Let's get ready to mortgage. He is the prince of programs, guru of guidelines, master of matrices. He puts the fun in funding. Please welcome Mark, Mr. Mortgage Eitel.
All right, and we are back. So if you have questions, hit us on the text line, 561-291-8569. That's 291-8569. Or visit the website, mr.mortgage, www.mr.mortgage. Remember, there is no .com. Just go to your browser and type in mr.mortgage, and magically we appear. I was so stoked when we got that website. I thought it was the coolest thing to have mr.mortgage with no .com, but man, it takes people a while to get trained to leave the .com off. So you'll not find us if you include the .com. Just visit mr.mortgage. So we're going to jump back into some questions. This one is related to a conversation I had with a new client yesterday. So it's one I get often, and I wanted to share. I'm going to share 2 quick stories with you that answer this question. So super nice lady. She relocated to take care of her elderly mother during COVID, and now she's moving back to Florida. And it's heartbreaking for her to see the prices of properties because she sold a beautiful home in Port St. Lucie and moved up north, taking care of her mom, and now she's ready to come back. Mom's great, by the way. Everything worked out really well. But she's looking at that house that she sold as an example, and it's nearly $150,000 more than she sold it for just a couple years ago. So she's brokenhearted, thinking, my God, what did I do? Should I have kept the property and rented it? And the answer to that's probably yes, but that's not what happened. And we had the discussion, and her thought was, do I jump back into the market or do I rent and see what happens? And I know it's a scary time to jump into the market because we never want to buy anything at the peak. And we had a really lengthy conversation, and some interesting points were made on both sides. And to me, it's her decision. I just wanted her to see both sides of it. I want her to make the best financial decision for her. So we kind of had the discussion and let things unfold. But what I wanted to share was that if she doesn't make that decision to buy and chooses to rent, there's a good chance that she's going to be missing out on more equity, albeit at a slower pace, because I don't think anybody believes that, in 2 years from now, that property is going to be worth an additional $150,000. But even if we appreciate at 8%, it's going to be worth more money. And when you pay rent, you never get any of that back. So it still makes sense to buy, even at this elevated price that we see in the market. And the reason I say that is there's no indication that the market's going to crash. There is indication that the market is going to slow, but think of it and when I say slow, I don't necessarily mean that the sales volume is going to slow, but that the appreciation rate is going to slow. And right now, the appreciation rate on Florida real estate is like a car in the left-hand lane doing 80 miles an hour. Well, I don't know if you've driven on 95 lately. You might have to do that in the middle lane because there's some people out there poking in the left-hand lane. But anyway, if you're going 80 miles an hour and you suddenly slow to, say, 55 miles an hour, it feels slow, but you're still motoring right along. So appreciation is definitely going to slow. It cannot maintain this pace, but there's no indications that a bubble is going to burst. So even if appreciation goes flat to zero, Let's say property never appreciates again, and you buy a house for $400,000, and you get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And guess what? In 10 years, you're going to have equity, because there's two ways to gain equity in real estate. Appreciation, which is the sexy part of real estate. Everybody wants that $150,000 appreciation in 2 years. I mean, it even sounds cool to say it. But the tried and true method of gaining equity in real estate is principal reduction. So just by paying down your loan, you're gaining equity in the property. So I share that you know, there's the pretty sister and then the ugly sister, but they're both equity, and there's a ton of value in both. And I apologize for using the sisters reference. Maybe I should have used brothers, but if you've seen my brother and I, then that probably would have made sense, because my brother's definitely the pretty one. But anyway, yes, I think it still makes sense to buy in this market, because you're never in our lifetimes, unless something dramatic happens and it's, you know, like a Will Smith movie and we have end of the world type of environment. I don't think we're ever going to see interest rates at this historic low level anytime soon. So borrowing money for 30 years at a fixed rate at these ridiculously low rates, it's going to give you the opportunity to hold that real estate. And let's say you don't want to live there forever. Maybe in 2 years you sell it, or let's use my 0% appreciation example. So you rent it out and move to the next property. And then you have a tenant paying you, let's hope positive cash flow, but at very least paying off your mortgage for you. And if you do that every so often, over the course of a lifetime, you've built up significant equity wealth. So yeah, I know it's scary. I know it's frustrating. It's probably more frustrating than scary, because you're looking at properties that you could have pulled the trigger on a year or two ago at $250,000 that are now, $400,000. And that's frustrating. Dom and I were just talking about that here in the studio. It's what's happening in the market, especially to the first time buyer. It's definitely frustrating. However, don't let your frustration cause you not to make a decision, because we were just discussing this at the break. There's a cost associated with everything, even not making that move. So I want to share the second story. I had a client that was looking at a property in Port St. Lucie. And I might have the numbers off slightly because I'm doing this from memory, but they're within $1,000 or $2 of the actual numbers. And he visited with me in October of 2020, and we did a pre-approval. He was looking at a house in Port St. Lucie, and he currently rents in Green Acres. So he looked at this house, fell in love with it, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and a pool. And he was excited. $250,000 was the cost of the house, which is, it's even hard to imagine. That sounds cheap, but yeah, it was $250,000. We did the pre-approval for him. He could qualify for it. It was about the same payment as his rent payment in Green Acres of $1,500 a month. I want to say it was within about $20. So he didn't make the move. He chose to renew his lease. So he stayed in the apartment for another year. They increased his rent $200 a month. So he's now paying $1,700. And he revisited with me in October of 2021, taking a look at that same neighborhood in Port St. Lucie that he had fallen in love with. And the property is now they're asking, I guess it's worth $60,000 more. So what did that actually cost him not to make that move in 2020? Well, he paid $200 more a month in rent. So that is 12 months. That's $2,400. But he cost himself $60,000 in equity. So the cost of inactivity is significant in life, and we often let that go uncalculated. So to answer the question, it still is a great time to buy real estate. It might not be as sexy as it was 2 years ago, but my man that I just used as an example in Green Acres would be well suited to buy now and capitalize on the appreciation of the next year or two, because it cost him over $60,000 to stay in his apartment in Green Acres. So We're going to take another break and come back and wrap up this hour. Thank you so much for spending some of your weekend with me. If you have questions, text them in to 561-291-8569. That's 291-8569, or visit Mr.Mortgage. We'll be right back after this.
Major League Baseball is just around the corner at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. The Miami Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals are back in Jupiter for 2022. Come out and take in 30 games in 30 days and watch the teams as they face off against exciting opponents such as the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Detroit Tigers, and more. Season tickets, mini plans, and group packages are available starting Tuesday, October 19th. To lock in your seats or to learn more, visit RogerDeanChevroletStadium.com or stop by the stadium ticket office.
That's not an egg frying. It's the Martin County real estate market, which is sizzling hot. Values are high and so is demand. Properties draw competitive offers within minutes of going public. A national website won't help you navigate this market. You need a local expert. You need Martin County Realtors of the Treasure Coast. Our members know the neighborhood, the communities, the natural resources. They'll help you discover the hidden gems and work hard to get the best price possible. Visit findalocalrealtorexpert.com.